Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into something that, honestly, might feel pretty counterintuitive, especially now. We're exploring the power, the real sort of secret power of working off stage. You know, those breakthroughs that seem to happen when nobody's looking. That might just be your secret weapon. Okay, think of it like this, a microscope, right? Focused on a slide. Where's the real discovery happening? Is the big flashy presentation later?
Probably not.
Right. Or is it right there in the quiet, under the lens, seeing stuff you just can't see otherwise?
That's where the action is, below the surface.
Hey, look, this isn't just some neat metaphor.
No, it's actually a business reality, right?
Yeah, one that gets missed a lot. Especially now, with everyone needing to be so visible, we're sort of trained, aren't we, to think that being seen equals doing something important.
Constant updates, posts being on.
Exactly. LinkedIn, conferences, all that. And okay, visibility has its place. Absolutely. We're not denying that. But what if the really big leaps, the game-changing work, what if that happens when you step away from the spotlight? Deliberately.
That's the paradox we really want to dig into today. It's fascinating. Our mission, really, for this deep dive is to unpack maybe 3 key principles, things that set truly innovative leaders apart, the ones building something that lasts, not just noise.
And crucially,
yeah, why this offstage approach matters so much for you, for our listeners, if you want real clarity, real impact in your work.
Okay, let's tackle the first big one, the depth paradox. Basically, getting deep requires getting away from the crowd. Just think back, for you personally, those real aha moments, not the polished version, but the raw insight. Did it hit you mid-meeting? Or was it more like, I don't know, on a quiet walk?
Or late night coding, maybe?
Yeah, or sketching something out alone, shower of thoughts, that kind of thing.
It's funny how often that's the case, and there's actually some brain science here. Our brains, well, they need what scientists call the default mode. It's not just zoning out. It's a specific network that kicks in when we stop actively, performing or reacting to stuff all the time.
So when the input stops.
Kind of. And in that mode, the brain starts making these unexpected links, connecting different ideas.
Oh, connecting the dots.
Exactly. Stuff that focused on-stage thinking might just miss because it's too linear, too goal-driven. That's often where the creativity sparks.
That makes total sense. But, okay, here's the rub, right? The culture. It rewards the visible stuff loudly.
Oh, absolutely.
We clap for the slick presentation,
right.
Not the, 6 months of messy, quiet research that made it possible.
Well, the product launch, everyone loves that.
Yeah. And not the endless tweaking, the failed tests, the quiet pivots nobody saw.
Yeah.
It's like performance over practice.
Precisely. And leaders who get this, they strategically disappear sometimes.
Disappear? How do you mean?
Not literally vanish, but they block time, real deep work time. And crucially, they resist that constant urge to share every little update, every half step.
Resisting the look what I'm doing impulse.
Yes. Letting ideas actually bake, giving them incubation time away from, feedback that might come too soon and derail things. It's choosing depth over chatter.
Okay, strategically disappearing.
I like that. But I can hear someone thinking, wait, what about transparency, teamwork? How do you square that?
That's a really important point. It's not about being secretive. It's about timing and readiness. Deep work isn't hiding. It's about building something solid before you expose it widely. Maybe you share early with a tiny, trusted group.
Okay.
But not the whole world, not yet. We'll get into that phased approach a bit later. It's about building a strong core first.
Right, building that foundation, which ties into this pressure to perform for the spotlight, maybe before you're ready. And that brings us to point number 2. The spotlight finds you when the work is ready, not just when you want the spotlight.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah. So a question for you listening. Are you mostly focused on doing truly great work? Or is it more about being seen doing work? Because really, they're different games. They're fundamentally different strategies. It's choice. Focusing on being seen, you're optimizing for the short term. Quick wins.
Likes, comments, immediate buzz.
Exactly. Sharing half-baked stuff for engagement. Maybe changing direction just because something else is getting applause right now. Versus focusing on the work itself. That optimizes for long-term impact. It often means, being okay with being misunderstood for a bit.
Patience.
Yeah, and investing in the deep stuff, the capabilities, the infrastructure, that might not look flashy now, but pays off massively later. It's substance over style, essentially.
You see this historically, right? The great innovators, the companies that really lasted.
Often years in the wilderness, it seems.
Yeah, years in what looked like prep mode. Building, coding, testing, failing, but quietly.
The early agile days you mentioned, perfect example. All that internal work, the refactoring, the testing, none of that was client-facing initially.
But it made them ready. So when the opportunity, the spotlight moment finally arrived, they weren't scrambling. They were prepared.
And that preparation advantage, it's not just about technical readiness. It builds this deep inner confidence.
Because you've done the work.
Exactly. You truly understand your stuff, your market, your team, what works, what doesn't. You've wrestled with it.
So when the pressure is on,
you make better calls. You're not just reacting to the noise. You have conviction built on substance.
Okay, so deep work leads to better preparation, which builds confidence. How does that connect to clarity? That's the third piece,
Right.
The clarity equation. Stepping back from the stage gives you the perspective to see what actually matters.
Another paradox.
It really is. Because you'd think more visibility means seeing more. But often,
It distorts things.
yeah, you get caught in performance mode, always thinking, how does this look? What will they think? You can lose touch with the actual reality on the ground.
It's like that microscope again. You can't see the cells and the whole organism at the exact same time.
Right, you have to shift focus.
You do. You have to choose your level of zoom. Constant visibility pressure keeps you zoomed out, focused on the big picture optics.
Maybe too zoomed out.
Perhaps. Missing the crucial details that actually drive the results.
So effective leaders, they cultivate these microscope moments, as we're calling them.
Intentionally.
Yeah, not by accident. Regular practices pull themselves out of the performance of leading.
And back into the substance.
Right, like actually taking customer calls.
Unfiltered feedback. Gold.
Or digging into raw data before it's packaged up. Or just, walking the floor, observing, listening without the big announcement.
And crucially, these aren't PR stunts. Not photo ops.
Definitely not.
They're reality checks, vital ones, reminders of what actually moves the needle versus what just gets applause.
Substance over show. Again.
It requires deliberately stepping out of that echo chamber, away from the curated view.
Okay, so we have these three big ideas. Depth needs distance, preparation beats premature spotlight, and stepping back brings clarity. How do we make this practical? How can you, listening right now, actually use this?
We've put together a kind of framework, a cycle, really. We call it the spotlight cycle. Phase 1 is deep work mode.
Microscope time.
Exactly. Block the calendar, cut down meetings where you can, create that space. And like we said, resist the urge to constantly report progress.
Let it cook.
Let it cook.
Right.
Trust the process. Trust the work will be good when it emerges. Phase 2, selective sharing.
Okay, so not broadcasting yet.
Not yet. You've got something now. It's taking shape. Test it. But with a small, trusted circle, people who give you honest, tough feedback.
Iterate, refine.
Sharpen it. Build your own confidence in it. Still mostly off stage. Then phase 3, strategic visibility.
Okay, now we go public.
Now you share more broadly. But notice the difference. You're coming from a place of substance.
Not asking, is this okay?
No. You're presenting something well developed. You've done the work. It's about sharing insights, not fishing for validation. And finally, phase 4, which is often missed, impact measurement.
So after the launch or the share.
Right. Don't just move on. Reflect. What actually happened? What worked? What didn't? Talk to users, look at the data.
Learn from it.
Critically. Because those lessons, that's the fuel for your next deep work phase. It feeds right back into the beginning.
And that's the key, isn't it? It's a cycle, not a straight line.
Absolutely not linear.
It's a rhythm.
Yeah.
Depth, then sharing, then learning, then back to depth. Creation, then communication, then reflection.
A sustainable rhythm. Building something solid, layer by layer, not just chasing the next bright, shiny object.
So wrapping up here, we've explored this, pretty counterintuitive idea today. That some of your best work, your most profound insights, might actually happen when you give yourself permission to step off the stage, away from that constant demand for visibility, engaging in that deep, focused, often quiet work.
Shifting from always on to sometimes strategically deep. And hopefully this deep dive gives you, our listener, a bit of a shortcut, a way to understand how really impactful leaders cultivate that lasting impact, that clarity, recognizing that sometimes the real leverage, the real growth, it happens in the shadows, where ideas get strong before they hit the spotlight.
So here's a final thought for you to take away. Based on our chat today, what's one microscope moment you could carve out this week? Just one small space. Where could you deliberately step back, maybe limit the inputs for a bit, and just create room? Room for new insight, an unexpected connection. Where does your most transformative work really happen? Something to think about. Until next time on The Deep Dive.